Hey guys, welcome back to Warlord Radio. So we have a very special interview today coming from across the world. We have Salman coming from India. Salman is deeply involved with Bangalore Open Air. So hey Salman, tell everybody hello.
Hey guys, Salman here, founder of Bangalore Open Air, which is powered by Wakan, India's oldest heavy metal festival, which has been around from the last 9 years. And unfortunately, due to the whole COVID situation, we had to call the festival off this year, but hopefully we have the festival happening next year.
Yeah.
And it's an honor to be a part of the Warlord Radio and looking forward to have a good time with you guys.
Well, you are entirely too kind, sir. It is the pleasure is all ours.
Yeah, we've been psyched about this all week. I have a whole bunch of things that I want to ask you.
so one thing I'd like to point out is that it's kind of funny because our buddy Krishna here came from India to Texas to interview you in India.
That's like a long journey. You spent a lot on petrol, did you?
I know, yeah.
That is very true. I used to live in Bangalore actually, and of course I heard a lot about the work that you have done. And some of my friends, they even guys from Bionic Moth, and then I think they have played in one of your shows. I'm not sure.
I think Bionic Moth must have played at one of my shows, but not at the festival. They haven't played at the festival.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. But of course I have heard a lot about you in the Indian music scene. But like these guys have said, like I have made a trip around the world just because,
Right.
It must be nice.
Right.
So like, how would you say, first off, how many people usually show up to this thing? Because I know it's a huge festival.
Well, I think we are the second largest country in the world, but however, metal in India is still niche.
Mm-hmm.
It's a heavily Bollywood dominated market.
Yeah.
And metal is usually a genre which is not that popular in India, but of course there are a lot of fans for metal, and we usually get around 3,000 people at the festival,
That's
which
nothing to
is a
scoff
small
at.
number compared to probably what a European festival would get. But it's the reason why it's 3,000 people is because in India especially, um, it heavy metal rock and roll has never been our culture. So it's basically kids who start listening to metal when they are in college, and then they get a job and they get married, and they don't have time for metal. So it's a phase. So it's the audience for metal in India is between the age group of 18 to 24. 70% of our audience is between that age group, and usually people people don't have the time. They don't have the time to come to shows once they get busy in life. So it's basically those young kids who want to have a good time, listen to good live music. Those are the kind of guys who usually attend shows here.
But it's really nice to have like the fan base that it does seem like you have seems like they're devoted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, not just in India. I think heavy metal as a whole
Worldwide,
is
yeah.
brotherhood all over the world. I've traveled all across the world. I've been to states as well. I was on the 70,000 tons of metal, I think
Nice.
in 2016, 2017, and I've been to a lot of festivals all across Europe. It's heavy metal is a religion by itself. So you
Agreed.
don't, yeah, it's a bunch of dedicated guys who like rock and roll, who want to be a part of the whole cult, and it's a cool thing, man.
So what are some of the biggest influences that got you into hard rock heavy metal? Like what were some of the key bands, when you were younger that really just blew your mind?
Yeah, so I was living, um, you know, when I think I was in school, where I had my neighbor who used to blast music, and I was never into heavy music. I started, I think when I was in fifth or sixth grade, I used to listen to Bryan Adams.
Mhm.
So, and
No
and
judgment
yeah,
here,
so
man. I had a Pet Shop Boys cassette.
so I asked my neighbor, dude, you have a lot of guys coming to your house. You guys listen to some music. Why don't you give me something to listen to? And he gave me two pirated MP3 discographies of Metallica and Pink Floyd. And
Nice. There you go.
there's-
Right.
and of course, we couldn't afford CDs back then, and it was not easily available as well. So the only way we could probably get it is, I don't mind disclosing it, but yes, we used to pirate stuff because it was not available.
We
And
did. Even here, tape sharing was huge when we were younger. You know what I mean? Like we'd make mixtapes of bands, like either local or worldwide. Yeah, we've all done it. I'm saying it's better to pay for it, but sometimes.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You thought
so
way to go for downloading all these discographies.
Right.
Usually, that's the only thing. Actually, like I don't know if you have observed this, but in the torrent files, they would have all these discographies for Morbid Angel, Obituary, all these things. So it's almost like listening to an album like throughout completely. You had no other choice but to listen to like the very first song to the very last song that they have made.
Yeah.
So that was pretty.
Yeah. So there was no looking back, man. And I was, I think, 16 when I started, falling in love with the genre. And I could never play an instrument. Tried playing the drums, and I realized I sucked. So my search for rock and roll, so I landed up with a friend of mine in a pub in Bangalore called Purple Haze. It's not there anymore, but it was the place to be if you're a fan of rock music. So I went to the pub and I said, okay, look, I want to become a DJ. So, and my interview was where, they had posters of all rock and roll guys in the pub, and the manager was like, okay, name everyone. Like, yeah, okay, that's Jim Morrison, that's, Freddie Mercury, that's blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, you got the job. So,
Nice. At least you were prepared, man.
So that's when I started exploring more music, and of course, Number of the Beast. And after that, there was no looking back. So I said,
Right.
"Fuck! I think I've landed in the right place."
Right.
You know, I come from a Orthodox Muslim background where music as a whole, or even heavy music or any kind of music, is still considered, to be not cool. But later, as time passed by, my folks accepted what I like, and accepted my whole journey into heavy metal, and supported me a lot when I started building the festival. So it's been a really long journey. So I used to DJ there, and then I started organizing small shows in pubs across Bangalore,
Mhm.
and I started managing a band called Cryptos, which is probably India's right now the oldest heavy metal band which has still been around,
Oh wow.
and one of the biggest heavy metal exports from India. So we were I got them a tour across Europe. We were the first band to do a cross-country tour of Europe, and that's when and it so happened that the Wacken festival was around the same time, and it's every metalhead's dream to play at Wacken, or it's every metalhead's dream to be in Wacken.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, right here, it's my dream.
Yeah.
It's the mecca for heavy metal. So I went there, and 80,000 people, everyone in black. You're from India, okay, man. We just thought, you people still listen to tabla and you play the sitar, so we didn't know that metal exists in India. Like, come on, we are in the world of internet.
That was a bit short-sighted. Like, everybody listens to metal. Metal is worldwide. It's everywhere.
Right.
I think my theory is that as long as there are communities around the world that are like really pissed off, and then they're like they need to release like some kind of angst, I'm pretty sure like every other country has some kind of a community like that. So as long as
It is. There is metal. We've been doing something called the Wacken Metal Battle. And it's a competition which happens in, I think, 43 countries all across the world. So in the last 2 years, we've been doing metal in places like Nepal, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. So, there is a big metal community all over the world.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
the cool thing is that, you become friends with metalheads easily. You see
Mhm.
a guy wearing a Maiden t-shirt, or
Yeah.
you just have a conversation with them, and it doesn't matter what color you are, it doesn't matter what religion you belong to, it doesn't matter, you know, what the
Metalheads
fuck you
love
are.
metalheads. We just do.
So
Yeah.
it's yeah.
So tell me a little bit about like I imagine it would be particularly hard at the local level there in India, just because like here at the States it's like you got a number of bars that'll play bands and you got smaller venues and stuff like that. Do they have any kind of infrastructure for local music?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of places. There's one place in Bangalore, and um, I think there is a place in Mumbai, but they do not still have the infrastructure for a band who wants to tour. It's
Right.
basically a pub made where a place where you have it's you need to build a stage. It's not like in venues across Europe and America where there is a live entertainment venue. Here you have ad hoc venues where you plug and play with a stage and sound and backline and stuff like that. Well, the reason probably is because there's not much money into it.
Sure.
If it makes sense, if you have 7 days of the pub going on, and if it makes sense that at least 5 days works well. But
Yeah.
I don't think um, it would make sense to have a live venue where you don't have people during the weekday.
Right.
And I know for a fact that especially in a city like Bangalore, people usually want to go out on a Friday and Saturday night. So
Mhm.
Yeah, it's after
uh,
work. Don't
yeah,
have to worry about getting up for work the next day.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's basically very difficult to sustain a live entertainment venue, and I think there are still a couple of pubs which still play rock and roll, but it wasn't like how probably Bangalore was, I think, 15 years ago, where the population of Bangalore was really small, and there were people, and there were not many pubs around. There were hardly 2 to 3 pubs which used to play music, and one of them was a pub called Purple Haze, and that's one of the places where I used to DJ. So, well, right now, if you look at the statistics, I think the local population of my city is just 30%, and it's a cosmopolitan city, so you have people from all across India in our city, and you know um, so we don't really have that rock and roll culture like how it was probably back in the days. But yes, uh, like I told you, there is still niche audience which listens to it,
Yeah.
and there are still oldies as well, who love your Whitesnake, your Cinderella, and the 80s guys. So
Yeah.
yes, there is a mixed crowd for it.
Well, it seems to me that India is a burgeoning young rock and metal culture. So it's like it's been around and established a little bit longer in like Europe and the States, right? Have more of a foothold here, but is with the rapid expansion of India in general, and the fact that people like you are providing entertainment for younger kids that are going to grow up listening to metal and stuff like that. That's just going to create a whole generation. So it's like you're going to be in a position where we used to be, a couple of decades ago.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it, I think we are still 20 years behind what the European and American market is
Right.
when it
That's
comes
not a
to
bad thing. Metal was better then. I'm kidding.
Right.
I think um, when did Iron Maiden play in America? Probably the late 80s, early
Uh,
90s.
When did Iron Maiden come to America? I believe
Yeah,
it was
Yeah,
80.
it should be the 80s.
I
yeah,
think it was 1980.
I want to say the first, because we had like Blue Cheer was probably the first like American like heavy ass band, and that was in
yeah. I mean, the
'67.
reason why I asked why when did Maiden play in America is
Okay.
because Maiden played in India on the 17th of March 2007. So that's how late Maiden came to India.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's like 20 some years after they
Yeah,
came to the US.
yeah, yeah. So well, we don't. I mean, there are record labels, but we don't have like a complete ecosystem for heavy metal in India yet.
Right.
When I
Yeah.
say ecosystem, you need your merch shops, you need your music stores, you need your pubs. Uh, no, man, we don't have that ecosystem yet, and I think it's. I believe there's a face for everything.
Uh-huh.
So I I'm guessing that it should come back like to how it was before. So
Right.
now that people are more pissed off,
Yeah.
I actually noticed something. I mean, let me know if you have observed the same phenomena in India as well. So, because the cost of recording an album has like come down so much, like anybody can record an album just sitting in their room these days. So because of that, people are able to put out more content, regardless of like having a record label sitting on top of them, dictating them to do a certain thing. I know that like certain music genres are like especially in India, like Bollywood and all those things, they're like dominated, like they're being dominated into the mainstream culture, right? So have you seen like a resurgence of these indie bands recently, like who are doing their own thing?
well, I don't think metal has been mainstream all over the world. So
Right.
so I don't know about indie, man. I mean, I think bands today, like I said, you can afford to do, you can afford to record music by your own. You can do it in your room. Um, well, I mean, the way I look at it, I think it all comes down to what you actually want to do. Where do you want to see yourself? What are your goals? How much do you want to achieve? What is big according to you? Can you be the next Metallica? No, you can't. I mean, can you have can you have a recording like the Black Album? No, you can't. Well, it comes down to what I think a band would really want to do. I know bands who don't like touring, who just want to put out music.
Hmm.
So it it's all comes down to I think what an individual band wants to do.
Let me ask you, because here in the States, pretty much everything is still locked down. I mean, some things are kind of opening up gradually, but basically there are no shows going on. I mean, there are a couple of like underground shows, and they're trying it in a couple of venues where people have to be like seated at tables and stuff like that. But in general, let's say like more than 90% of the shows are just canceled to an uncertain future date. Is it kind of the same in India? Are a lot of like businesses and bars and stuff like that, are they closed down because of the pandemic?
I think Bangalore has opened up a bit.
Hmm.
I think even though I think I mean the state which we are in, it's called Karnataka, and it's right now the third baddest hit state.
Hmm.
And uh, I think 6 September 1st is when they started opening up stuff slowly.
Hmm.
The clubs are open, the pubs are open, but they still have the whole social distancing in the pubs where you can have
Yeah.
so many amount of people according to the size of the pub.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's not just a problem in India. I think it's a global
Yeah,
problem right now. So the most I think important thing right now is to survive and to be safe.
of course.
Um,
Actually, it gives me
and
hope because, like, after, like, if you look at, like, historically, like, after the bubonic plague, there was a
yeah,
massive worldwide renaissance after that. Like, we're all sitting at home bored thinking right now, and they actually let us off our chains. We're going to go nuts.
Right.
yeah, I think the economy worldwide is going to bounce
Mhm.
back, and it's going to bounce back really well. Right now, what's most important is to stay safe and healthy. It's
Yes.
um, I don't believe in these virtual shows, these virtual concerts, or the drive-in concerts, or whatever you call it.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
I
just
agree.
you know, you entertainment will come back, but you got to be patient and you got to live through it. No one expected this uh, to happen in the modern world.
Yeah,
This I think 2020 is going to go down into history as like how the plague was back in the days.
yeah.
So I think the most important thing right now is to uh, just make sure that your family is safe.
Yeah.
that your friends are safe, and live through it,
Yeah.
and most importantly, learn a lesson from what's happening.
Right.
Very
So
much so.
Well
yeah,
said, brother. Yeah.
yeah.
Could you walk us a little bit? So tell us, like, how do you go to opening Bangalore Open Air? Like, how do you forge that connection with Vakan and get the whole ball rolling?
Yeah, so with Vakan, it's kind of been a good relationship. I think it's from the last 10 years. It started with the Vakan metal battle in India, and then it went on to being supported by them. The Vakan Foundation supported the festival, and Thomas Henson, the founder of Vakan, is a really dear friend, more like a family. He's a guy who's been guiding me from the last 10 years. You
Oh,
know,
wow.
what's the right way to do things? What are the bands you need to talk to, and how do you talk to them? Blah blah. So he's been like the godfather for me when it comes to concerts. There are a lot of other people in Vakan who've been really like a family. Miriam from Vakan, Eno from Vakan, are really cool guys. Um, and
They seem pretty
so
committed to making sure that as many of these open air festivals can happen, wherever they can get them and get just as many people out as possible.
yeah, I mean, if you look at Vakan as a whole, I think everyone knows what Vakan is.
Yeah.
It's a festival which you need to be there at least once in a lifetime. And I always tell people it's a drug. Once you go there, you want to go back every year.
Mhm.
That's what happened to me. So I've been going there from the last 11 years. So yeah.
That is wild. So how would a band, like, walk me through the process? Like, how does somebody make it into your festival? Like, either, I would
Yeah,
imagine
so
main stage. And,
it's
yeah.
I don't think you know we are open to bands applying for the festival,
Right.
mainly because we don't have the time.
Yeah.
It's a one-day festival. We start at 4 o'clock and we wind up by 10 p.m.
Mhm.
So we usually have three popular names, and then have one Indian band, and then we have the winners of the metal battle playing at the festival. So we want to give a platform to an upcoming band.
Mhm.
Uh,
That's very
also a
cool, by the way.
yeah, also a platform to an Indian band who's been around from some time, and you know then we have three popular names. So we just don't have the time to add more
Right.
bands,
Like
and
side
yeah,
stages or anything like that. Like, yeah.
yeah.
Who
Well,
are
it's just
like,
one stage at the festival, man. It's just too expensive to have,
Yeah.
um,
yeah.
more than a stage. I tried doing that. Um, I think in the third edition, and I was broke for 6 months. So
Yeah. So who are some of the highlights that you've had on your stage? Like who are some of the bands that really got you excited that have played there already?
um, so it's kind of weird. I've always not had my favorite bands because I couldn't afford them.
Yeah.
Right.
And but of
We'd
course,
all love Iron Maiden to play in our festival. We really would.
Yeah.
That's a steep bill.
yeah. Well, I'm a big fan of old school metal and old school thrash and stuff. So it started out well with Creator playing the first edition.
Awesome.
Good
Yeah,
score.
yeah, and I think we had Iced Earth playing the second edition.
Greatness.
Then I guess the third edition was with Destruction and Rotting Christ.
Oh
So
wow.
we kind of made it
I want to
small.
go to the festival.
Dude, that's an amazing lineup right there, man.
Yeah. I think the fourth edition had Napalm Death, Belfigure from Poland.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fifth edition had, man,
Right.
I'm forgetting bands. Yeah,
No worries.
yeah. I mean, I think probably one of the biggest bands we had at the festival, Overkill.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
Who were you supposed to have this year when it got canceled?
This black metal band called Marduk from Sweden.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Martin. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, have there been any of the either the battle medal winners or like some of the Indian bands that maybe you weren't so familiar with but really impressed you once you actually like got them on your stage?
Yeah, there's a band called Godless from Hyderabad who've been really good. But the thing is that bands today do not practice anymore, man.
Really?
You need to practice every day.
Yeah.
Indeed.
if you it's an old saying, practice makes one perfect. So you got to fucking practice.
Yeah.
And you cannot say, okay, the gig is happening on Saturday, why don't we all meet on Wednesday and jam for the week? That's not how you fucking do it.
No.
So
Listen up,
that's
kids, guys.
Yeah, this is sage advice.
Yeah, listen to the man.
Practice on your own and with your band multiple times a week, as much as you can.
Yeah, but just don't practice by yourself, So
no, that's really good advice.
Yeah.
But you're right, and you run into that here. Like you can tell, like inherently, and I don't care if you're a layman or if you're running a huge fucking open air festival. Like you can tell which bands practice often and which bands are just a bunch of dudes with guitars that meet.
Yeah, you can say that the moment they're on stage doing a sound check, man.
Yeah, exactly. Before they even play, it's like, so awesome. Well, we know that we're on a significant time disparity, and we're going to wrap things up shortly here with you. But just before we end it, do you have any special bands that you're looking to book in future open airs?
I've been wanting to have Gojira at my festival.
That would be awesome.
And
you're saying all the right bands to me, man.
Yeah, I know.
All the right bands.
Sold. Do you have any what are you listening to right now, man? Like, what have you been digging on lately?
Man, I was actually listening to Fleetwood Mac today. So
there you go.
That's solid, man.
I mean, well, it's usually I listen to metal when I'm with friends, and I can't listen to metal every day, So
right.
I like to be in that environment. I like to be with friends, or if I'm in a good mood, I just can't you wake up and listen to metal. It doesn't work for me that way. So, I dig a lot of classic stuff. I'm a big fan of the 80s hard rock era as well.
Yeah, those great
I love stuff like Warrant, Winger, Wasp,
Winger is
White
awesome.
Snake, Cinderella, Poison, Motley Crue.
Also awesome.
Whenever I get sad, I listen to Cinderella. I imagine myself sitting in a train track somewhere just with an acoustic guitar. I'm like, my life is sad.
You got to give it up for some of those 80s bands, man, because
I think
the
80s guys
guitar
had awesome
player that
guitar
could shred.
players. Yeah, the best guitar players came from the 80s era, man.
Yeah, the guitar heroes.
So,
I mean,
sure.
you can make fun of like Bon Jovi all day, but Richie Sambora was a monster on a guitar, man.
Well, another one is White Lion, right?
I was literally going to say that.
White Lion.
Vito Bratta, the guitarist, like he's one of the most underrated guitarists out there. So I mean, I don't know why. Like Van Halen is the famous tapping, guitarist, right? But then Vito Bratta is always overlooked for some reason. So.
Or do you remember that band Extreme?
Oh yeah.
I hated that band. But
Nuno Betancourt,
he was insane.
Yeah. But that was the thing. I mean, it's like, look, a lot of them did get like really cheesy or whatever, but you always had a singer that could sing, and you always had a guitar player that could shred in all of them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think only Dave Mustaine found it weird, and he called it gay LA metal. So
yeah.
Dave Mustaine is weird, so.
I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds so true. Oh man. Well, so like, I know that COVID has totally just like kicked the feet out of everything, or out from under everything, but like, I had a point. Oh no, when you guys get going again, are you just gonna hit it full throttle, or like, I mean, are you
I think we're going to take it a bit slow, man.
Okay.
I think um, it's we just got to wait and see what's going to happen. It's no point. I don't think, honestly, I don't think um, anything is possible till we have a vaccine out.
Yeah, I agree.
When I don't think live entertainment will be the same anymore if there isn't a vaccine. You just can't. You can't have 1,000 people standing together. It's not safe.
Don't tell
And
that to an American. God. We're funny like that. That's why we can't leave the damn country anymore. No,
so who's going to be back? Who's going to win the election?
Man, I don't know. I really just hope a big falcon comes down and just pulls the entire White House up by its roots, and we can just start over.
The Eagles of Gondor swoop in.
Yeah, the Eagles of Gondor swoop in, and we're done with both of these jokers, man.
Can we vote for Dave Mustaine as president?
Yeah, right.
Shredder in chief.
What's Cinderella doing lately?
So
I think even if Dave Mustaine becomes the president, he would still crib about being fired out of Metallica. So
that's right. The first thing he would do would be to nuke Metallica.
Yeah, you guys are done.
Yeah.
Lars Ulrich's house.
Right? So when is the concert normally? Is it kind of like the same time every year?
Yeah, it usually happens in June.
Okay.
So the reason why it happened in June, because we usually send the Metal Battle band from the Indian subcontinent to Germany, the Wacken Festival, which happens in August.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I think, good summertime in India as well, open air, beer, music. So, yeah.
I'm curious because we're in Texas, right? And in June, it's about 114 degrees outside. And I'm just curious, what is the weather like there for an open air festival in June?
Yeah, I think Bangalore is a bit cooler compared to other Indian cities.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be around 38 to 40 degrees in the afternoon in the summer.
Celsius.
I got that. I got that.
It's usually cool throughout the year because you're on a higher altitude.
Right.
And it's crazy up north in India. It goes up to 53 degrees, 54 degrees Celsius. So it's, yeah.
I was just curious because, like I said, we had, we do Mayhem Fest here and stuff.
Oh, so
I remember distinctly going to Mayhem one year and burning my head like a tomato because it was so hot. It just completely melted all the sunscreen off my entire face. It's the hottest thing I've ever experienced, man.
Probably try making an omelet on your head.
Yeah, right.
Texas shows in the summer are a different level of fun because you know what heat exhaustion is all about.
Yeah, it's interesting. So,
The other thing I remember about Texas when I was a kid was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Hell yeah, man. Give me a hell yeah.
Right.
Tough talking son of a bitch.
Right.
What? Sorry, I'm a huge wrestling fan, man.
That could be a whole episode, by the way. It's just talking wrestling.
Absolutely. We've done it before.
Yeah, I have a lot of family in Houston, and so probably
nice.
bump into you guys the next time I try coming to the United States.
Shout out to Houston.
I've been to LA, I've been to New York, and I've been to Miami. So, yeah.
Well, we'll have to bring you to
country.
Dallas the next time
man.
you can make it to the States so that we can hang out and go to a metal show.
Oh, yeah, of course, man.
Yeah.
We've got some good ones. We'll show you Dimebag's grave.
Right?
Okay. Oh, no, I gotta come.
That's right. That's right. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out Warlord Radio. Do us a favor and hit the like or subscribe button on YouTube if that's where you're checking us out.
And leave a comment below.
Yeah, please leave a comment, share it, good, bad, whatever. We appreciate any support in any direction that you guys want to give us. And also massive thanks to Harry Rock Radio and Sasquatch for partnering with us and believing in the show.